Hi everyone, my name is Ricardo Manzo Velasquez, and today I will be presenting on none other than the Cheesecake Factory Incorporated. Now, the reason that I selected the Cheesecake Factory is because I have a long history of attending the restaurant with my family and my loved ones. Anytime I've ever gone there, I've always felt like they've had great hospitality. They always know how to treat the customer correctly. From the second I walk in, you're greeted with the greeter. The greeter asks how many people are in your party, and then they go ahead and seat you. They tell you that your waiter and your waitress will be with you shortly. And then once they do get to your table, they ask you what you would like, and then they constantly follow up with you. And then once you leave the restaurant, you leave with a full belly and a smile on your face. So let's get to the origin of the Cheesecake Factory. So the Cheesecake Factory actually started off in a state known as Michigan by a woman called Evelyn Orton. Evelyn Orton one day saw in her local newspaper a cheesecake recipe. So she took it upon herself to recreate it. She recreated it for her family and they all loved it. Long story short, she went ahead and opened a bakery in her basement. The bakery wasn't too successful, but then once the bakery shut down, her and her family decided to move to the West Coast to Sunnyside, California. Once they arrived to Sunnyside, California, that's when her sons went ahead and took it upon themselves to open up a restaurant in honor of their mother, Evelyn. Now, the real brains behind the restaurant is going to be her son, which his name is David Marshall Overton. This man is the true brains behind the Cheesecake Factory. He's in charge of the operations. Now, if you've ever gone to the Cheesecake Factory and you ever wonder, why is the menu so large? It's because of him. The reason being is that back in the 70s and the 80s, he would see neighboring restaurants opening up besides the Cheesecake Factory, and he would go ahead and steal their recipes and put them in his own menu so that guests could think that the Cheesecake Factory has a little bit of everything. So one day on the menu, you'll see some tacos. One day on the menu, you'll see some Chinese food. And this is the true genius behind why it's so successful. Now, getting into the tenure of the employees. When it comes to the employees, for the most part, they usually try to stick around. Everybody there is usually above like 2 years at least. I have this demographic right here. I do apologize, I'm not that tech savvy. So if you see this bar right here, this is people that have been there for more than 2 years. Now, if you see this bar right here, this is people that have been there for an upwards of 3 to 4 years. Now, for the most part, one would think that, oh, the Cheesecake Factory isn't really the place that you would want to plant your feet, but a lot of them are actually happy there. The reason being is because they get plenty of tips. I do have a friend of mine who works at the Cheesecake Factory, and she says that she really enjoys it there. She loves the atmosphere, she loves her coworkers, and you know, not all the time guests are going to be as nice or as friendly, but for the most part, they are. And for the most part, they treat her well. Also, when it comes to the Cheesecake Factory, over 84% of employees that attend there, which is this big chunk right here, say that it's a great place to work. And you know, whenever you work at a certain job and you're not necessarily as proud of working there, for the most part, people that work at the Cheesecake Factory don't mind sharing the fact that they work there. They actually enjoy it. They'll happily tell a person, oh yeah, I work at the Cheesecake Factory, because they see the Cheesecake Factory as in like an upscale kind of restaurant. Not necessarily everybody works there. It's not necessarily like a McDonald's or like an Olive Garden. It's more upscale and more fancy, to say the least. Now, where is the Cheesecake Factory going to go? The Cheesecake Factory is likely here to stay. For the most part, they've been dominating Southern California, but they have expanded to Northern California, to Nevada. You could see it in Las Vegas. You could also see them in Texas. And honestly, the food is quite delicious. You know, every time that I go there, I get the same thing, chicken Alfredo. That's my go-to dish. I just love it and enjoy it. Now, also, when it comes to the Cheesecake Factory, the way that management treats their employees is fairly well. I do ask my friend how she's treated, and she says that the management isn't overbearing, that they're not necessarily too demanding or micromanaging. As long as she performs her job, they leave her alone, which to me is a-okay. Thank you so much for listening.